this came out in general, but particularly here, is their use of technology. Their use of mobile phones and mobile technology is pretty high for a population that is not totally acculturated with American society. And that's the other issue. As the level of acculturation of Hispanics increases, their behavior patterns act much like everyone else. So it's getting that 2/3 that isn't acculturated, though, into the picture. So we're going to run a digital campaign, again, focused in 2 states, converting parts of TakeMeFishing.org to Spanish, running the campaign in Spanish and English, and testing what kind of results we get and what messages resonate. I was at a Louisville IBEX, it's a big manufacturing boating show, and I was given a presentation on this research. And I had a dealer from Miami come up to me afterwards, and he said he found it very interesting, and he found somewhat right on. He asked me, do you know the first question a Hispanic customer asks when they come into my showroom to look at a boat? Anybody have any idea what that question might be? What's that? How many people can go out on the boat? I heard someone said, how many did it hold? Extended family unit is much more important to this group than it is to any other demographic group. Extended family. So, you think about that. How many will it hold? Well, a 2-person bass boat is probably not going to be right for that person. But a nice pontoon boat or a boat that's going to hold 10 or 12 people would be very interesting. So, more to come on that as we move forward. Next. The other thing we did with this, and we were able to do with this, and this is something that it's in the infant stages, but we're going to be testing it here in the spring, is we took those 5 groups, and I said to the research company, I'd really like to develop a tool for a boat dealer, a fishing retailer, the small shop, an outfitter, with this information, and can we then, on a local basis, be able to plot where affable adventurers live within a dealer's market area, where outdoor enthusiasts live, where dabblers live. And could we do this? And could we develop direct mail list and direct email list out of this? And we can. We have developed a tool right now that's in its infant stages where I can go in, I can pick a business location, and I can plot the number of, depending on a 1, 5, 10, 20-mile radius around that business location. I can develop a direct mail list, and I can develop an email list, which then you have to purchase, obviously, and put your marketing plan together and do all that. But the single most important factor in any kind of a direct campaign is your list. So now I can target a list around behavioral traits of customers within a geographic market area for a small retailer. This is probably tools that larger retailers have, but smaller retailers don't. So we're going to be testing this with some boat dealers and some fishing tackle dealers, hopefully here in the spring, and get their feedback on how the tool works. It's an online tool too, it's web-based. So a dealer can actually go in and say, you're selling jet skis. Well, the affable adventurer is a prime target for jet skis. He puts in his business location, he says, I want a 5-mile radius. It'll pop up that there's 2,000 people that meet this profile within your market area. You then order that list, cull it against your own customer list, and voila, you have a direct mail campaign that you can use. And we can do the same thing on email addresses as well. So we know we can develop the list. We know we have the companies. Experian is the list company, which is a well-known direct marketing list company that will work with us on this. What we don't know is, can we create the message, can we put it out there, and will the dealers get any business on it? And we'll work with dealers to determine what kind of promotion they want to use, because in addition to the list, you still have to have good creative, and you still have to have some sort of an offer to hook people in. That's where the dealer will come in. They'll decide what they want to offer, what the hook will be, etc. and so forth. So again, taking research that we invested money in, that we actually can invent a tool that our stakeholders can use. And this can be used for boat shows, this can be used for a number of different events. I don't know if Jamestown, what the motivation to go there would be, but they could use it too. Next, please. So the other report I want to talk about is our annual report we do on participation with the Outdoor Foundation. And in 2009, and overall fishing participation was down. Overall boating participation was up, so that was good. There were more people going out boating, but fishing participation was down. And we were encouraged that the new participants into the sport, there were more Hispanics, more youth, and more women. So that's good for our future. So there are some positives in there, even though overall participation was down a little bit. Next. And here's why. And this is, how do we use this research? And this to me is one of the most telling slides. We call this our leaky bucket. You'll see in the next slide after this that on average every year we get about 3 to 4 million new people coming into the sport. And most of them are young, they're Hispanic, or they're women. And that number has been pretty consistent over the last 3 or 4 years. When I came to this job in 2007, everyone was talking recruitment, gotta get new people, gotta get new people. Well, that 3 to 4 million represents an annual increase of about 7.5% of your customer base. Is there anybody in here who wouldn't be happy with get 7.5% new customers to your business every year? I think that's not too bad. The problem is, and you can tell by that red number there, we're losing more people than we're bringing in, both the new and those that return. Okay, now some of this we know are because of those dabblers that are out there. Okay, those 50 million plus people that try one thing one year and don't. But they're still within there, if you get down into the numbers, an issue. And we've got to resolve that issue. So you can see the 8 million number. That number represents new people to the sport and those that had lapsed the previous year that came back. And unfortunately in 2009, we had a few more people leave than we were able to introduce new and bring back. Next, please. And this kind of tells you that. This looks at 2007 to 10. And you see the dark blue there? That's the number of new people every year. You can see that's pretty consistent. So, what I'm trying to do with our partners, particularly state fish and wildlife agencies, who are the ones that are out there, we don't have individual lists on these people. State fish and wildlife agencies do. They know who these people are. They've got to do a better job up front of retaining people. Right now, you buy a fishing license, and the next time you hear from the state is when? What was that? Yeah, but they don't tell you that. You've got to go do that yourself. Or you may find that out when you're out on the water and you realize your license expires and you get a $160 fine for a $16 license. So that's what this data helps us do. And we have moved from a recruitment mode to more of a retention mode, focusing on that big light blue bar there, which is your lapsed anglers. And you can see how that does determines how we do on an annual basis with participation. Next, please. So, of that 10.6 million people who left in 2009, 2.87 million of those were kids, ages 6 to 12. So that means in the previous year, we did a great job of introducing kids to fishing and boating and fishing program, but they didn't stay. Okay, they didn't stay because we didn't make it fun enough, they didn't catch anything, it was boring, da-da-da. Number of different reasons. So, what we have done is we said we need to focus on that. So another very important part of what we do in this research, because that is a large group that represents 27% of all the people who lapsed, we have our youth programs. I'm going to talk a little bit more later about our Discovery Education program, but we have a program with the Boy Scouts. We have our Passport program. We give out education grants. And so far this year, and our year runs April through March, so we have a little 2.5 months to go, 700,000 kids have gone through our funded youth programs with these partners. So we really think that continued exposure to fishing and boating is what is needed in order to keep these kids engaged. And when I talk a little bit later about the Discovery Education program, you're going to see that we're using today's technology to engage them in it. We're not just, trying to do it the old-fashioned way. We're trying to use the tools that are available today. Next. The other part of it is the lapsed angler. These are the older folks that lapsed out, and here we're working directly with the states. This year, of that that pool that lapsed out, we'll go after about 3 million of those people. I wish I had the budget to go after all of the ones that lapsed, but we don't. And we go through a pretty scientific approach to try to determine which one of these are least likely to renew, so we bring these people back. And over the course of the last 3 years, we've brought 1 million anglers back into the fold. So, you know, we've gone after about 9 million, so we brought 1 million back. It's not a great percentage, but it's not bad for direct mail. Anybody who knows direct mail, it's a pretty good return. And part of that is because the main problem here is, as we talk to people, it's, you know, you're going to hear people say it's time and money. But really what we find is if we just ask people, and if we tell them where the license dollars go, people think the license dollars go to build roads and bridges or go in the governor's pocket or somebody else's pocket. No, they go back to fisheries programs. And that is something that, this is the 75th anniversary of the Sport, Fish, and Wildlife Restoration Fund. And I know they're going to be making